This conference will now be recorded.
If you can't have fun, what can you have, right?
That's right.
You can have no fun if there's no fun to be had. Okay. So at 7 o'clock, we're going to call this meeting to order. I do have 2 additions, and then I'll ask council if they also have any additions to make. We have a waterfront outdoor market request and a gateway funding request. And I believe Mark needs to add an in-camera item towards the, before, I guess, under additions for committee of the whole. Is that correct, Mark?
That's correct, Your Worship.
Okay. Any other items that we need to add this evening?
Your Worship, I'd like to add COVID update, COVID restrictions update.
Perfect. Thank you. Any other additions? Okay, I would ask then for, is that Councillor McDougall? Okay, go ahead, Councillor McDougall.
Yeah, just an update on, maybe Terry's going to do it during the COVID one, just on the gym, where we're at with that.
Yes.
Perfect. Terry, can you include that in your update?
Yes, Your Worship.
Thank you. I guess last call for any other additions. Okay, I would ask for a motion to approve the agenda with the 1, 2, 3, 4 additions.
Approved as amended, Your Worship.
Thank you, Councillor McDougall. Do we have a seconder?
Second.
I think it was seconded by Councillor McDougall, or sorry, Councillor McIver.
Councillor McCrory.
Okay.
Deputy Mayor McCrory.
I think there was
His
a
Worship,
few seconders. Okay. I wasn't sure who got across the finish line first. Perfect. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Contrary minded? Okay, the meeting agenda is approved as amended. Agenda item number 4 is presentations. This evening we do not have any presentations from the gallery. So we'll move on to council reports on assigned committees. Okay, so Deputy Mayor McCrory, did you want to review the written submission you sent out to folks? To start?
Thank you, Your Worship, but I don't have a copy in front of me.
Oh, okay, so I guess thank you, Deputy Mayor McCrory, for circulating that to council. I guess I would invite council, if you do have any questions with regard to that report, just just get in contact with the Deputy Mayor if you have any questions or comments with that. And I also submitted a report as well and to council. I'm just going to do a quick review. So I sent some information on the Gateway project. I know it was last minute, so I'll give council some time to digest. It's basically the history. I know that most of our returning councillors are well aware of the Gateway project, but Councillor Aucoin may be fairly new to some of it. So there is some information that was circulated with regard to that. Housing Advisory Committee, council just wanted to update you that there will be some work done by our Housing Advisory Committee in and around potential summit to kind of create a one-stop shop for multiple stakeholders, not just sharing of our survey results, but also talking about zoning, talking about available land, all kinds of topics in and around the subject of housing that we hope will help stimulate, continue to stimulate and encourage interest with regard to housing all across the board, from high density housing to rentals to single unit family dwellings as well. So all across the board. One Nova Scotia REAP project, we're continuing to meet weekly. Our next project is surveying 40 businesses and entrepreneurs, as well as 5 venture capitalists with regard to our economic zone here in Cape Breton Strait region. The Alan J. McCacken Airport meeting, a report will follow. Our meeting is coming up. So, of course, as you all know, I'm part of the NSFM board. So I will be updating council. I will be circulating some of the feedback that's come from other municipalities across the province. Once it's made available to me, I'm happy to circulate it with regard to the affordable housing report. I think you'll all find some of those comments interesting. Waterfront Advisory Committee. I guess just to put on your radar that we will be needing to choose a new chair for that waterfront meeting. Terry, do we know if, like, I think we usually meet the third Monday of the month. Do we know if there is a meeting scheduled for next Monday?
Your Worship, I can check. I believe it's the 21st. Is the date we discussed at the last meeting, but I can check.
Sure. I don't see a meeting notice in my calendar. I wasn't sure if we were still on track with that.
There was some question about whether we received the final or the last draft of the strategic plan before we meet. So right. I think that was the holdback. We thought we may be able to meet beforehand.
Right.
And that's still uncertain right now. So that's why the meeting notice hasn't gone out.
Okay, thank you for that. For Destination Cape Breton Association, I sit on the board, and so Destination Cape Breton is continuing to provide presentations. We received ours already. And of course, the Accessibility Advisory meeting, things are going well with regard to that. I guess the progress on that file. We'll be working on another future meeting, but in the interim, we're going to be reaching out to Richmond and Inverness just to see if there are any collaborative opportunities with regard to working on all three accessibility plans. And of course, the Economic Development Advisory meeting was a really great meeting, lots of robust conversation. Ian Langley, who is a member of the Economic Development Committee, gave a presentation on wind power, and so we spoke about various economic development opportunities as well, and of course housing was discussed, as well as waterfront development. And that concludes, and if anybody has any questions with any of my written report, feel free to reach out at any time. Any other reports from council with regard to any of our committees?
Sure, through you, Your Worship.
Go ahead, Mark.
I also attended the Housing Advisory Committee meeting. Like you spoke about, trying to come up with an idea of how to attract many developers at one time in one spot and give them the full meal deal, so to speak. Attended the Eastern District Planning Commission meeting. We appointed a new chair and a vice chair. That was on the 27th. And the Parks and Recreation attempted to have our first meeting. It was unsuccessful. We didn't have enough people. So we're going to attempt it again. I believe it's Thursday. Then I was at the Cape Breton LIP, the local immigration pilot. And we spoke on the welcoming groups in Cape Breton and how we're going to try to form one here in Port Hawkesbury. Right now, there's 9 welcoming groups in Cape Breton, which is fantastic. So hopefully we'll get that off the ground here. And I think that's it for me for this month.
Thank you, Councillor Aucoin. Councillor McIver.
Yes, Your Worship, through you. If everybody looked through their package, they would see that Aaron has the Landry Lake Board meeting that's scheduled for June 16th. The annual budget for the utility will be reviewed. And she also has the Police Advisory Board that we met on May 25th. And the advertisement for 2 public members to sit on the board as per the Police Act. And also, I guess for the public that they may be seeing, I guess, orange dots on the road down on the Sydney Road and Granville Street, and infrastructure committee, Councillor McDougall and myself, working with Jason, and I believe that's been plotted out, and there's going to be some changes to it a little bit. And Jason will probably talk about it, but it'll probably go to a traffic engineer for the final design. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor McIver. Councillor McDougall?
Yes, Your Worship, through you. It's good to go last. I guess I'm on the waterfront, the infrastructure, the Parks and Recreation, the Police Advisory, and you all spoke on them. And like Jason said, we never had a quorum the other day. The Police Advisory, I think we made a motion at our last council for 2 citizens they need. The only one I think that wasn't touched on is we have a meeting tomorrow at 3:30 with the Wall of Fame committee, and hopefully we'll make some decisions to go forward there. That's my report. Thank you.
Thanks. I promise to make you go first next time, Councillor McDougall, so you don't feel left out. Okay, thanks for all of the reports from committee reports from council. We're going to move on now to CAO reports, so I'll hand things over to Terry.
Thank you, Your Worship. We'll go right into marketing, recreation, engagement, and culture. So Michelle is going to do a report. You're on, Michelle.
Good evening, Your Worship. Good evening, everybody. Through Your Worship, I will just deliver my report and open to questions afterward. Starting with the trails. So the Trails Association has received a formal thanks and recognition from the province. They view the trails and the Trail Association as a vital service to our citizens and recognized us as such. So that was very nice to receive that in the mail the other day. Our new trail maps are being prepared by our students. We have them almost ready to go into all the mailboxes in Port Hawkesbury. So that's going out probably by the end of the week. The Hemlock Trail is reopened. There was some washout and they installed a new bridge. And we have our 2 summer students who've started this week and are working with Larry on various projects over the summer. We're going to be featuring our trails in the Municipal Observer. So this is a publication by the Nova Scotia Federation of Municipalities. And then we're also featuring it in the Northeastern Magazine Tourist Guide. So the theme for the next guide is actually Explore the Outdoors. So it's quite fitting that we would feature our trails in this publication. It'll go out in July and it's featured in the Reporter and available in all tourist bureaus in Nova Scotia. So it's a really nice feature with a broad reach for our trails. Moving on to the pool. The pool remains closed due to the current health restrictions. And we've initiated some meetings with the Life Saving Society and some other outdoor pool managers in the region. So we're hoping to partner on getting some of our lifeguards and instructors trained because we had to cancel those spring sessions. Next meeting for the Sports Hall of Fame is tomorrow, so we're looking forward to meeting and moving forward with some planning in the fall for that. Just a note on the COVID testing center. So the team at Nova Scotia Health extended their agreement with the Civic Center until July 1st. And there are some new hours, some new extended hours, and they're open on the weekends now as well. As far as recreation, we will be hosting a summer camp over the summer months from July 5th to August 27th. We're pretty hopeful that the restrictions will lift enough for us to be able to move forward with that. And it's in partnership with Leaside Society. They've sent over a staff person to actually work with our students to provide high five training. And morning orientations throughout the entirety of the camp. So just very, very generous donation of their time, totally free to us, just in exchange for a little bit of a shout out publicly. So we're very, very grateful for that contribution. And the camp will cost $30 a day and $130 a week. So it will just cover our cost for our student facilitators and supplies. The active community kits for seniors have gone out. I believe we have about 10 or 15 left. So if anyone knows anyone looking for those, please contact us. The kits have a pedometer, some resistance bands, 2-pound weights, map, and some exercise options and ideas. We're currently finalizing our summer programming plans, so I'll have the draft ready shortly, but they will include some outdoor yoga boot camps, outdoor paint classes, youth learn to run, some trail hikes, and scavenger hunts. We've also planned a couple of outdoor movies on July 20th and August 16th in partnership with the Festival of the Straight Committee, so that's really exciting. And I do believe I included the program for Canada Day in your packages this evening. So we're moving forward with plans for Canada Day, very similar to last year's festivities. So we will have a traveling musician, some online contests, photo contests, hashtag contests, and things like that. So it was very well received last year, so from what I'm hearing. So very hopeful that this year will go off without a hitch and that people will enjoy Canada Day. And that is my report. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Michelle. Any questions or comments from council at this time? Jason?
Through your worship to Michelle.
No question.
Sorry, we'll call on Jason and then we'll call on you next, Huey. Thank you.
Through your worship to Michelle. Thank you for the report. It's got to be difficult coming into this position at this time, in these trying times, and trying to come up with rec programs and trying to keep people active. I think you're doing a fantastic job so far, and keep up the good work.
Through your worship, Councillor Aucoin. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Okay, Councillor McDougall, go ahead.
Yes, your worship, truly, I was just going to thank Michelle for her report and welcome her aboard again. We never got to meet personally yet, but hopefully we will someday.
Through the chair. Thank you so much. I feel so welcome here. I was saying to Councillor Aucoin this afternoon, everyone's made it so easy. So thank you so much.
Any other questions or comments for Michelle at this time? Michelle, I think we all echo Councillor McDougall and Councillor Aucoin's comments. We're really excited to be working with you.
Thank you so much, and I look forward to meeting everyone in person sometime.
Absolutely, absolutely. Back over to you, Terry.
Thank you, Michelle. That was a great report. And I'm going to hand things over to Aaron.
Thank you, Terry. Through you, your worship. Brief report from me. So debenture balloon refinancing. So council approved that back in April. Just letting you know the debenture proceeds haven't been deposited into our account and we've repaid our balloon payment on that. And Mark and Huey both touched on the Landry Lake Board meeting and the Police Advisory Board. So Landry Lake tomorrow, where a budget hopefully will be passed, or at least we'll have some time to review that with the Landry Lake Board. The Police Advisory Board did meet, and again, council will be seeing an updated terms of reference from that board. Once the board approves their own terms of reference, it'll go back to all of the respective councils for approval as well, before it's an actual accepted document for that board. And just one quick item, we did have a municipal clerk's pension committee meeting on June 4th. So there is an actual, we're due every 3 years for an actuarial evaluation, and so we're in that period right now. And based on Marco Ramsey from Manulife, who's an actuary and provided a brief update on what to expect coming forward from that valuation, is that based on some new pension legislations, we're probably going to be seeing a slight increase in our mandatory contributions towards that pension starting next year. So just a heads up on that. And if there's any questions from council, I'd be happy to answer them. Thank you.
Thanks, Erin. Any questions or comments from council at this time for Erin? Hey,
Yes, Your Worship. Through you, just to Erin, right quick, maybe I missed it, but did we put the request out for the police advisory board for the 2 citizens?
Yeah, so no, that was approved. I don't know, was it last week or the week? Was it last week? So no, Melissa and I have chatted briefly on digging up that ad. So we'll probably put it in the paper next week because those will be coming forward to council at most likely the September public meeting, which will be in advance of the next police advisory committee or police advisory board meeting.
Okay, thank you very much.
Any other questions or comments for Erin from council? Looks like you're good, Erin. Thank you. Back over to you, Terry.
So I just again, I hand it over to Jason. Jason has a number of issues that he's working on, and he'll take us through some of those tonight. Over to you, Jason.
Thank you, Terry. Through you, your worship. Traffic sign report was provided in your committee of whole package. Very typical numbers. We're not seeing a whole lot of change in that data recently, which is good. Public Works tenders. We were fortunate to pass our municipal budget a little bit earlier than normal this year, which is a huge benefit to engineering and public works in the sense that we're able to get tenders out to potential contractors earlier than normal. So we have awarded our capital paving tender to Ocean Paving, and we've had some communication with Ocean, and they're expecting to get our capital paving work completed late June or early July at the latest. So it's progressing nicely, and we're still working on details on schedule with that project, as they have to subcontract the milling work. But we're not expecting any major delays there. Line painting tender, same story. We've awarded the work to Sweeps Pavement Markings, and we're expecting this work to be completed late June as well. So I was advised by Sweeps that there was an industry shortage in asphalt paint, believe it or not. So they had some issues with a manufacturing plant in the United States that supplies asphalt paint to majority of the suppliers in North America, and some of the companies are having a little bit of trouble finding product, but that shouldn't delay things too long. So next item are we wanted to provide an update on our CMMS project, and I'm gonna kind of speak to this project a bit, but I would like to highlight that this is a team effort from a few municipal staff that are working on this file. So in addition to myself, that's gonna kind of speak to it, but Gordy has put a ton of time into this, Ross McGinnis as well, and Terry. So we're kind of tackling this as a group, and it's a project that ultimately is going to benefit pretty much all facets of our business that we conduct here with the town. So I'll give you a little background. 80% funded through the FCM, the Municipal Asset Management Program. The town contribution to the project was $6,000, and we're expecting a completion go-live date in the fall of 21, so October, November. Project really has two components. Data capture component, where we're where in addition to the water system data that was already captured during the pilot program a couple of years back, where we've gathered more data on our town-owned buildings and facilities and fleet. And the second part, which is really the golden nugget for us, in addition to the data capture, is to the development and implementation of a CMMS system. Next slide shows just a kind of a snapshot of the open source GIS component of the program that we're working on. So that's a really great feature with this project, is that the ability to tie the assets back into a mapping function is going to be really useful to staff, and it's going to make querying data and tracking maintenance quite a bit easier than spreadsheet based programs. So what we're seeing in this map is our town water network, and we can pull out a whole host of data given the various pipe runs on various streets. Next slide shows an example of one of our facilities. So that's the Civic Center on the left side of the mapping function, shows kind of our asset hierarchy. On the right side, just kind of shows some of the information that we'll be logging and tracking related to the specific asset. So yeah, and a lot of that information still has to be input, but it's coming along well. The next slide shows how staff would go about generating a ticket. So really, that's how we're going to be able to create work orders and manage work orders and track the work that we're asking staff to undertake. So there's a red box there that's kind of askew on the create ticket feature, which, if you move to the next slide, will show you the different functions that managers will be able to input in order to create the work orders for staff. And there's scheduling options, priority options. We can put as much or as little detail as we feel is needed, and it's going to take a lot of the guesswork out of how we do things. The next slide shows generally what a service ticket may look like to staff. This is very high level, and there's not a whole lot of detail in it, but it just shows that there's a hydrant that needs service and it's assigned to me, which I probably won't do myself. The next slide shows, that's the way that we can quickly query through the open tickets that staff have assigned, and when they were created, what their status is, and who they're assigned to. And this information is easily accessible through the dashboard feature of the software package that's being developed. Next slide just kind of shows a month-to-month scheduling window of the work that's upcoming. It's more of an overall dashboard feature that staff would be able to open that and kind of have a quick snapshot of some of the work that's coming up this month, and plan their day, week, month accordingly. It does have a reporting feature as well, so management would be able to go into the system and look at the number of work orders that are currently in the queue, and see who they're assigned to, see which staff or how many work orders have been closed, and we'll be able to report that work on a monthly basis. So we're excited about that. The development of the CMMS, the primary goal is to support staff to effectively maintain the town's infrastructure. The CMMS will enable staff to create and schedule work orders, track and report on work orders, record the maintenance history of assets, and help increase the lifespan of infrastructure and reduce the risk of failing infrastructure. The software itself, the name brand of the open source software that we're using is called Civitas Asset Management, and it integrates with existing open source software like the GIS package that we're using, which is called QGIS. And open source means free, so anybody can use it. It doesn't cost anything. The software that we're developing with this project is going to be made available to any other similarly sized municipal unit that has the need for this type of program, but just can't afford it. And that's a real positive outcome with this work. Moving on, our PCAP application this year, the funding application has been submitted to Municipal Affairs. And the project is a process controls upgrades project at the water treatment plant. As soon as we receive word on our application status, we'll certainly pass that along. Next slide just shows some data that we gathered the last number of weeks at the Leaf and Yardway site. So this year we committed to not only tracking the amount of people that are using the site, we're also trying to break that information down. So we're asking folks which community they're generally coming from, and we're also able to track the time of day when folks are using that site as well. So we had pretty good uptake on our first day that we were open, which was May 22nd, a little bit less on the 5th. And keeping in mind during May 22nd, our first day open, community travel restrictions were still in place at that time as well. So that data might be skewed a little. You were provided with an activity summary of our Public Works Department. In addition, kind of a summary of upset condition. So we did have a significant repair to sewer and water service at a home on Harold Street. It was a significant job. It took our staff a long time. Really wanted to give our staff credit. That was a long day. The work was conducted extremely safely, and it was a team effort. It was the first significant excavation where we had our new operator on staff for, and we're very pleased with the overall performance of the entire group. We conducted a host of toolbox safety talks since our last report. The JOSH committee did conduct a formal safety inspection on May 25th of the Public Works excavation job site, which is a very important thing for us to be doing. It's ensuring that we're committed to that culture of safety on our work sites, not just in our buildings, and you know, it doesn't matter where our staff are working. A work site can be anywhere where we have to perform repairs or maintenance. So it was nice to work through that process with our Public Works crew, and we were able to make some improvements based on what we've seen, but overall, generally, the site was very well managed. And I would like to note that our operator, John Bushy, completed a safe excavation online course shortly after he started with us. And we're just going to finish off with some pictures of some significant work that the crew was able to complete since the last reporting period. We replaced the doors on the salt dome, which is a kind of a tricky job, and that the doors haven't been replaced in a long time and almost fallen off. So it's a nice piece of work to have done. And just a picture showing some of the asphalt repair work that was conducted on Water Street so far. So our staff have been able to work through the first area that we identified for asphalt repair work in town so far. So and that's ongoing. So Water Street was always where we started last year, and we want to start there this year as well. significant need. And we've since moved into Tamarack, leaving Tamarack Drive off of our list right now, and we're going to wait until the school bus routes are finished before we tackle Tamarack Drive. But our crews will be moving down into Grants Pond within the next couple of days and continuing on there. So be happy to answer any questions, and thank you very much.
Thanks so much, Jason, for your report. Is there any comments or questions from council? Councillor MacIver, I see you have your mic on if you want to go first.
Thank you, Worship, through you. Jason, I did see an email that you put out wondering about the, I guess, line painting on Reeve Street.
Yeah.
I had a number of complaints right up to during supper tonight about it, and I did witness a lot of it. It kind of turned back into a four-way highway, 4-lane. People are not, they don't know that the turning lanes are not for driving right through. It is quite dangerous when people are they're used to the turning lanes now, and they're turning in and then they're meeting a car head on, which they're not impressed with. And if you could emphasize with TIR how important it is to have that markings done as soon as possible, because it's very dangerous. And thank you for your report.
Thank you, Councillor. Just to touch on that subject, we did reach out to the project engineer with NSTAT today. I did not get a response from today's note. In the last correspondence I had with the gentleman, he did advise that they were hoping to schedule the new line painting work early this week, which to me I would have assumed yesterday or today. Not certain if the weather conditions were correct for what they need to apply paint, but I'll most definitely be following up with him again tomorrow morning.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor MacIver. Any other comments from council or questions for Jason?
Yes, Your Worship, through you.
Go ahead.
Yes, Jay, thanks for your report. I just got a couple of comments. The first one is on the job that the guys did on Harold Street. That was pretty amazing. I was there for maybe an hour watching them, and our new operator is pretty skillful. And the second one is we discussed here about a month and a half ago, or maybe 2 months ago, about sidewalks. I think our crosswalks, sorry. I think all council had discussed the crosswalks, and I see that there's more lighting on a lot of the crosswalks. Could you just elaborate on that for a minute, please?
Sure. Thank you, Councillor. So I don't recall exactly which meeting it was, but there was comments coming from council asking for additional lighting over some crosswalks throughout town, and those wishes were the result of comments from residents. So we did conduct a review of the crosswalks that were noted in the meeting, and we submitted a request to Nova Scotia Power to have additional lighting installed in those areas. And last week, those lights were installed, with the exception, I believe, of a light that still has to be installed at the Tamarack set of signals crossing Highway 4. So it took a little bit longer than we would normally see for light installs, but it's nice to see that work completed and additional safety features installed at some of the crosswalks.
Thank you, Jason, and thank you, Councillor McDougall. Councillor Coyne, do you have any questions or comments?
Through you, Your Worship, to Jason. Thanks for your report. As always, it's detailed and informative. The doors on the Salt Dome. I happened to be there when the Public Works crowd were putting them together and putting them up. And I have to say, for the type of job that was, I was very impressed on how everybody was on the same page. Safety was talked about before, during, and then they even spoke about it afterwards, what went right, what could have went a little bit better, what they'd do next time. Fantastic job. And I see them out milling the roads and getting things ready for paving and doing great work. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. I'll certainly pass along those kind words. Really proud of the crew that we have. They seem to be a pretty cohesive bunch. They get along well. They're getting a lot of work done. I wasn't there when they did that job, but we have a lot of confidence in our lead hand and the crew as a whole to work very safely.
Thanks, Jason and Jason. Any other comments or questions from council? Councillor, either, I don't know if you have any other questions, Deputy Mayor McQuarrie or Councillor McIver?
No questions, Your Worship.
Okay, thank you, Deputy Mayor. You're good, Councillor McIver?
Fine.
Okay.
Thank you very much, folks.
I guess back over to you, Terry.
Yes, Your Worship. So our last presenter is Gordy Snook, and we're going to switch this around for September. So Gordy's going to go first in September, but he's going to give us a report from Facilities Operations and Parks. Gordy?
Okay, thank you very much, Terry. Good evening, everybody. Through you, Your Worship, my brief report on Facilities and Parks. As Michelle mentioned earlier, we have the Nova Scotia Public Health COVID Assessment Center currently operating at the Civic Center Monday to Sunday. They're there for until the 1st of July. Our gym has been closed. With the announcement today, we are looking at reopening. I think Terry will touch on that a little bit. They've undergone some extensive cosmetic renovations inside. The operator has put a lot of effort into making the gym fresh and new looking, really nice. If anybody if you get a chance, Council and Your Worship, to stop in and have a look, it's really nice. The colors the palettes they picked and it came out really good. Our maintenance staff at the Civic Center continue at times to be relocated to other departments, helping out while we're not overly busy at the center. We hope that's going to change as things open up in the next phase or two and we get back to some normalcy, normal operations with our facility. Our Canada Summer Job Program, we had 6 students hired. We did orientation yesterday. They're going to be supporting the municipality through all departments throughout the summer, including trails. Each position is 35 hours a week, and each position is 8 weeks long. We do have some staggered start dates to provide continuous coverage across our summer months to cover off what we'd like to get done in different activities. Moving on to the Innovation Center, the new flooring has been installed and completed. It looks really nice. The old hard tile flooring had some chips and holes, and some of the grout lines were missing, and it created a very serious safety trip hazard. So it was decided to replace that tile with a vinyl plank flooring. Come out really nice, beautiful job by a local contractor. We did capture for those that are interested, we captured the imprint that was in the middle with the Creamy logo, I'll call it, of the past, and we hope to have that as some part of the building moving forward. So I'm not sure what, but that will be certainly reinstated at some point. It's in some capacity. The communication room at that site and data distribution has been completed. Our fiber line will be installed and up and running on June 23rd, as per Bell. Our playgrounds, our tennis courts, multi-purpose courts, splash pad, and our washrooms are all open. They have been open, and our fields haven't been used that much because of the restrictions. But with the numbers, the outdoor numbers increasing today, we expect our fields to start seeing some practice and people on them starting tomorrow. The generator at the fire hall is ready to go. We're waiting for radiator shroud to be, it's a local manufacturer making it, and it's just not ready yet. But once that's fabricated and put in place, we'll be able to say that job is complete. That should be within the next week or so. Our Accessibility Advisory Committee met on Monday, May 31st. We selected our co-chairs, and I want to thank Matthew Higgins and Your Worship, Mayor Brenda Chisholm Beaton for taking those positions. And myself, Gordy Snook, has been selected as the Advisory Committee coordinator. And the work of that committee is important and ongoing, and we're just starting to get our feet wet in the implementation and what we're going to have to get together to have our municipal plan in place in the next 12 months. So exciting stuff starting there, and we hope to move forward rather more quickly than we have been with our leadership in place. So that's my brief report for this month, and I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you so much, Gordy, for your report. At this time, I'd ask if council has any questions for Gordy. And I see Deputy Mayor McCrory, you have your mic on if you wanted to go first.
Sure, Your Worship. Through you to Gordy. Gordy, do you have any update on the energy audit?
Oh, I actually spoke to our on-site energy manager today. She just happened to be passing through town and dropped in. She was doing some stuff at Landry Lake and had some keys to turn in, but her report will probably be finalized to the municipality in the next couple of weeks. It's not finalized right now. That's all. I guess that's all I can say. I don't know what's actually in it. I'm not sure if Terry may have more to add at this point, but that's, I think, within the next 2 weeks, 2 to 3 weeks, that report should be completed.
And maybe through you, Your Worship, to Councillor McCrory. Thank you, Gordy. So I did as well speak with Ainsley Timmins, our on-site energy manager, who's been working diligently with us for the last number of months. We had, I think because of COVID, we actually grabbed some extra time there. So she's done some excellent work. She has compiled a plan that will go forward to council in September. So staff are going to be reviewing that. We're going to be working with Ainsley and trying to improve that, sending it out to council over the summer. And then we'll bring her back in and around the first part of September to review that plan. There's also some other initiatives that are out there that she's bringing forward, and we'll actually bring, we maybe have opportunity to bring something contractual to in camera around that as well. I just might add, Gordy, we hadn't mentioned our roofing contracts. So again, as Jason mentioned, huge benefit of an early approval of the budget in enabling us to get tenders out really quickly. So we had roofing tenders for the fire hall, for the incubator mall, and I'm forgetting the third, Gordy.
The food bank.
Food bank, thank you. So we reviewed tenders and have an award on that, and Gordy will send out a copy of the sheet to you for review. But those 3 buildings were awarded to A1 Gutter, and they are all within our budget allotment.
Do you have any follow-up questions, Deputy Mayor?
Yeah, well, just one, Your Worship. Gordy, did all this, I'm sorry, I can't even speak. Did all the students start yesterday?
No, they did not all start yesterday, but they were all in for orientation yesterday.
Okay, because some had already begun?
We had one gentleman start with us last week, and then some started yesterday, and some will start coming on closer to the end of the month.
Okay. Anyhow, that's fine, Your Worship. I'm going to speak to Gordy tomorrow.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Councillor Aucoin, do you have any comments or questions?
Through you, your worship, more of a comment. Over the last few days, well, since last week, Gordy, the town looks a whole lot better with all the mowing that's been done and caught up on. And the staff that was involved deserves a good pat on the back. They did a fantastic job. It was nice to hear today that the new machine showed up, and the operator seems more than happy with it, which is nice. So yeah, just basically a kudos to the staff out making the town look a lot better.
Yeah, thank you, Councillor Coyne. We just needed a couple of days to get the weather to cooperate with us and get moving on it. And I think we made some great strides, and I'll certainly pass on your comments to staff and the students.
Thanks, Councillor Coyne.
I will comment. Oh, sorry, Your Worship. I will comment.
No, please go ahead.
The new tractor did arrive yesterday, and after a little bit of feeling out and that, we put it right to work today, and we did this soccer field, the ball field, and the Oakley field with it. And you know, it's a beautiful piece of machinery. Robert's very happy, says it works really nice, and you know, it is a really nice piece of machinery. We should be proud to have it.
We're happy to have Robert back too. We hope he's feeling a lot better.
Yeah, he is. Yeah, I think he's happy to be back, to be out around and moving again out of the house.
I bet. Any other comments or questions from council?
Yes, Your Worship. Mark here.
Oh, go ahead.
Yes, Gordy, I may have missed it, but the gym, you said, it remains closed and undergoing cosmetic renovations. Is there a plan when the gym is going to open?
There is a plan. The renovations are completed, Councillor, and I think I'm not sure, but I think Carrie was going to touch on that with the additions to the agenda this evening. If not, I certainly can.
No, that's fine if Terry wants to. I just had a text during the meeting wondering when it was going to be open, and in the evenings, people are getting anxious. And also, I'm glad to hear that the new tractor has arrived, and hopefully the weather will stay dry enough that you get down to Kings Park, try her out there.
So that's pretty low on our priority list right now. We want to make sure we get most of the occupied spaces in town done first. So it's on our list, and we hope to get to it at some point, but I really can't say when.
I understand that through you, Your Worship, that we have priorities, but I know the new tractor is very efficient, I hear. So we should be able to get a lot done.
Thank you. Do you have any follow-up questions or comments, Councillor McIver?
No, Your Worship, that's fine.
Thank you. Councillor McDougall, do you have any comments or questions?
No questions, Your Worship. Just want to thank Gordy for his report. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor McDougall. Gordy, I just have one question from a citizen, but I wasn't exactly sure how to answer it, so I thought I would take the opportunity to ask. So with the washrooms now being open at the community park, just curious as to why the washrooms are locked up so early, and is there a plan, I guess, to extend the availability of the washrooms now that it's staying brighter for longer and kids just love checking out that splash pad?
Yeah, sure, Your Worship. There is a plan. The wash right now, currently the washrooms opened last week, and we kind of opened and closed them through the existing staff schedule. So they were opened in the morning at 8 and closed at 4 when we went home. Beginning probably Monday, or maybe even on the weekend, if all of our flowers come in and our baskets. So we'll tie that opening and closing and cleaning of the washrooms into at some point it could be integrated with our watering schedule, so that eventually the washrooms will be open for a 12-hour day like they were in the past. So we hope that's going to be in the next few days.
Fantastic, thank you. So I guess it was scheduled according to availability of staff. I guess that would just so I
Yeah,
know how to
at this-
respond to the citizenry question.
Sure, yeah.
Perfect. Thank you. Any other questions or comments for Gordy from council? Hearing none, well, thank you so much, Gordy, for your report. And back over to Terry. Terry, if you have any other updates you can offer council?
No, Your Worship, but I would like to thank council for moving the purchase of the new tractor forward. It was an initiative of council, and we're very happy with the results of that and the improvements in efficiency. So thank you to all council, mayor, and all councillors.
No problem. Thank you. So we're going to move on now to other business. The first item under other business is International Indigenous Peoples Day. So this edition is twofold. First off, I'd like to ask council to approve the raising of the Mi'kmaq flag for June 21st, which is International Indigenous Peoples Day. I'd also like council to consider, certainly not, I understand we've already went through a budget process, but I would like council to consider tentatively agreeing so that when we enter our next budgetary discussion cycle, that you will all consider the addition of a fourth flagpole. I think that as as we as municipalities consider how we can take action with regard to truth and reconciliation and all of the great work that we've been doing with our First Nation communities here in Unama'ki, that we should consider raising the Mi'kmaq flag and keeping it raised all year round on a fourth flagpole here in the town of Port Hawkesbury. Certainly taking positive cues from NSCC, who already does that. I would open up the floor for any comments or questions that you may have. First, with regard to the raising of the Mi'kmaq flag for June 21st, and then your comments or questions with regard to the addition of a fourth flagpole. Councillor McIver?
Yes, Your Worship. I agree with both, to raise the flag and to look into purchasing a new flagpole in the future.
Thank you, Councillor McIver. Any other comments from council? Councillor Coyne?
I'll echo Councillor McIver's comments. I support the raising of the flag on June 24th and definitely open to looking at a new flagpole in the next budget.
Okay, Deputy Mayor McCrory?
Yes, I support both.
Thank you. And Councillor McDougall?
No, I'm good with that, Your Worship.
Okay, thank you so much for the support, council. So I would ask that, since there's tentative agreement and support for the installment of a fourth flagpole for the purpose of raising the Mi'kmaq flag and flying it all year round, I would ask if council would support us kind of celebrating that idea and I guess sharing that intention on time for this year's International Indigenous Peoples Day, if council would be amiable to that.
Your Worship, I don't understand the question.
I'm just asking, as part of our celebrations for this June 21st, if council would be in support of us sharing that intention to install a fourth flagpole to fly the Mi'kmaq flag all year round, if that is something that council would feel comfortable sharing in terms of an intention.
Yes, Your Worship, I have no problem with that.
Absolutely.
Sorry, Thank you. Did I clarify that properly, Deputy Mayor? Sorry.
Yes, you did. Thank you.
Okay. What's your thoughts on it, Deputy Mayor?
Yeah, I support that.
Councillor McDougall?
Yeah, I'm good also, Your Worship.
Sure. And I guess, Aaron, I did ask Aaron with regard to the approximate cost. Aaron, did you want to relay that?
Sure. Yeah, I think just recent pricing we've had on the flagpoles plus the installation, it's around $4,000.
I guess we should have started with that information before the request. Sorry about that. It was on my radar, just a forgotten thought. Thank you, Aaron. Is there any other comments or questions on that item? Thank you so much, Council. Next, there is a funding request that came to us some months ago from BIDOBA, and we did have a presentation from both BIDOBA staff as well as from our CEPI staff. Stan Johnson was one of the presenters. The request coming forward, I believe, Aaron, correct me if I'm wrong, is $2,000. And I know what we've done in the past is kind of considered, you know, what we could give considering the size of our municipality. And anyway, my suggestion would be perhaps we can have a discussion as a council. If council is willing to support the financial request that has come forward, up to 2,000, perhaps maybe you could entertain, you know, an amount anywhere from 500 maybe to 2,000. I just leave that open for council discussion. Councillor Aucoin.
Your Worship, what have we done in the past?
We have, I think we have been solicited for financial request from BIDOBA in the past. I think maybe last year, Aaron, is that correct? I think we might have had a financial request last year, but I'm not sure if it was on time for budget deliberations. So for quite some time, I don't think Port Hawkesbury had representation on that committee. But we now do have representation. I sit on the committee of BIDOBA at this time. Aaron, do you think, yes, do you recall anything other than last year?
I think that we may have funded 1 year for 500, but I think it was just we did a 1 year contribution, and then I'm not sure what happened last year, if we got the request or if we were it was pending a presentation from that group, which we've had now. So
yeah, you're correct.
I would be okay if we've done 500 in the past. I would be more than okay with 500 this time.
Thank you, Councillor Aucoin. Councillor McIver? I think that's you with your mic on.
Yes, through you, Your Worship. To Aaron, in our donation part of the budget, would 500 be okay this year? Is it there in that part of the budget?
You have a budget of 18.5. I think you've committed 6,200 with a couple of known pending requests coming, but you would never, you know, with just those two requests, you'd never get to that level of budget. So I think you'd have that room.
Okay, thank you, Aaron. Yes, Your Worship, I agree with a $500 donation.
Thank you, Councillor McIver. Councillor McDougall or Deputy Mayor McCrory, you have any comments or questions?
Yeah, Your Worship, through you, everybody's breaking up here. I'm only hearing half it, but I think it's $500 that we're allotting, and it's in the budget.
That's correct. That's what Councillor Aucoin has suggested.
And Aaron said it was in our
yeah, that's correct.
Budget. Yeah.
Right, 6,200 we currently have earmarked or that we have agreed to. And I think our total budgetary amount is 18, what's the? 18,500.
18,500. And there's
Right.
two additional requests we know will be coming pending information or pending their request, but they would not get you to the 18, they would not get you to max budget. So so you have some flexibility in that account.
Any other follow-up questions or comments, Councillor McDougall?
No, thank you.
Deputy Mayor McQuarrie?
I'm good with the 500.
Okay, thank you. So if council is agreeable, we'll move that forward to our special public meeting. Is everyone okay with that?
Yes.
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 I think Councillor McDougall's having some sound issues, but we'll take that as a yes. Thank you, Council. And we're going to move on now to approved additions. So the first item that's added is a outdoor waterfront market request. So I met this afternoon. The request came in yesterday with regard to an idea from two citizens that live in the town of Port Hawkesbury. Angie Timmons is the citizen who contacted me, and April Fletcher is another citizen who has joined with Angie with regard to developing an idea for, I guess, to pilot an outdoor market on the waterfront. And the idea as presented to me today was to maybe look at 2 or 3 dates just to see how a market could work down on the waterfront. And if and I did submit or circulate some notes that they had prepared for the meeting, and I did circulate those to council. So if there is tentative support, my understanding is that they would be looking at kind of, you know, making sure that there are COVID, I guess, whatever that they would need to do to plan with regard to COVID protocols within their plan. And they would be happy to work with staff with regard to potential table locations for outside venues and that sort of thing. But if council has any questions, and of course, just to give you a bit of context, the idea that they presented, I did circulate that idea to our Waterfront Development Committee, which of course, I think as so we should share that idea with our Waterfront Development Committee. I invited anyone who was available from the Waterfront Committee to sit in on today's meeting. Vicky was happy to do so, and I was able to have a brief conversation with the Vice Chair, Mark McIver, as well, just before our meetings started this evening. And I guess I would open it up for council discussion at this time. Maybe Councillor McDougall, go ahead. Your mic is on.
Yes, Your Worship. Thank you. Truly, I'm glad that I heard you say that we touch base with the Waterfront Development Committee or Advisory Committee. And I think there's a meeting coming up soon, and maybe that should be something to put on the agenda for that meeting. I agree with the concept of it, and it's a great idea, but it's hard to get citizens sometimes to sit on committees, and I think they should have some input into it. That's all. Thank you.
Absolutely. So I guess the reason that I'm bringing it to committee of the whole is that I guess the buck stops with council. So if council is agreeable to the idea, the development of the idea should definitely be vetted through the Waterfront Development Committee as well as through staff. But if council isn't amiable with regard to this particular idea, then certainly there's no sense in going any further. But you're correct, Councillor McDougall. definitely something we should bring forward to the Waterfront Development Committee or continue to have discussions with them. Councillor McIver?
Yes, Your Worship, I agree with Councillor McDougall that it does go through the Waterfront Committee, and also work closely with maybe town staff for COVID restrictions and stuff and how to set it up. But I think it's a great idea. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor McIver. Councillor Coyne, did you, your mic on?
I'll echo the previous comments. And I think you're right when you say if council doesn't support it, well, there's not much point in taking it anywhere else. But I do agree 100% that once council is in favor of it, that it does go to the Waterfront Committee, the Advisory Committee. And like Councillor McIver and I believe Councillor McDougall said, COVID restrictions are very important. My only other concern, I guess, is if there's any conflict with any other businesses down on the waterfront with some of the things coming in. I think that we should be cognizant of that. But other than that, yes, I support it 100%.
Thank you, Councillor Coyne. That is an excellent point. And I did have that conversation with both citizens this evening, or just when we met this afternoon, that part of a going forward plan would require us talking to some of the businesses that operate down on Lower Water Street and at the waterfront as well, just to make sure that there may be no issues and that there is broad support. But very good point. Thank you. Deputy Mayor McCrory?
Yes, Your Worship. It's an excellent idea, and I'm very supportive of it.
Thank you. So I guess if council is in agreement and tentatively approves the idea to potentially host 2 or 3 outdoor markets down at the waterfront for this summer season, that maybe that could be predicated upon the Waterfront Development Committee kind of approving the go forward plan with it, as well as town staff, and pending also that conversations are had with the stakeholders that do business down on the waterfront every day. Is council okay with that idea?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, it's good.
Okay, so I guess, would council think that we should move forward a motion to our public meeting or somewhere along those lines with that kind of language, or do we want to kind of hand things over to the Waterfront Committee?
I think that we should give the Waterfront Committee the opportunity first. I mean, it's known here that we support it. But if the Waterfront Committee doesn't support it, or maybe there's more discussion needed,
sure,
I think we should maybe just hold off on it to at least let them have a look at it and have a say.
Okay, so I guess we can give our tentative blessing, and as long as the Waterfront Development Committee is okay with it. So I guess if we're putting the ball in the court of the Waterfront Development Committee, then I don't think we necessarily need a motion of council. Is everybody okay with that suggestion from Councillor Coyne?
Yes, I agree.
Yeah, fine, Your Worship. Yeah.
Hey, Deputy Mayor?
Yes, Your Worship.
Okay, great. So we're going to move on to the next edition, which is the Gateway Project. I circulated some information for the benefit of council. And of course, Councillor Coyne, if you do have any questions, I know that, being a new addition on council, you may not have had the benefit of some of the prior information that had been shared around the council table since 2018. So I guess where we are right now in terms of progress with the island-wide stakeholders in this particular Gateway project, the next phase would be looking at kind kind of scoping out the project and doing consultation and also kind of putting together a funding application to ACOA. And in order to get support with regard to that funding application, we're going to need to have some commitment from some of the stakeholder groups that are at the table with regard to this project. So roughly scoping out this project, doing the consultations and creating kind of a multi-year gateway plan. And of course, that includes signage, wayfinding, beautification, understanding any kind of economic opportunities around that particular gateway, really all the bells and whistles. You know, it's going to cost anywhere between $50,000 to $70,000 to kind of come up with a good plan that we could apply for funding on a multi-year basis. And so far we have commitment from the Cape Breton Partnership for $5,000. We have commitment from Destination Cape Breton for $5,000. And we're looking for tentative support from municipal and First Nation stakeholders as well. And right now I think the ask will be no more than $5,000. It could be a little lower than that, but I'm hoping that council will tentatively agree with a $5,000 contribution to have this next phase of the project scoped and framed up. I'm happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Your worship, through you, I guess through you to you.
Thank you.
Through
me to me.
I'm just wondering, is it 5,000 for all municipalities and all stakeholders, are you saying?
Well, right now that's kind of the tentative, I guess we don't know exactly how much it's going to cost, but we do know that in order to put an application forward to ACOA, we're going to have some kind of a basic understanding with regard to, you know, other funding contributions. So ACOA is not going to pay for the whole kind of scoping and framing up of this project and the consultation process that will be required. So we're just trying to build together kind of you know, what that funding stream could look like. And again, it may not be part of this particular budget. It, you know, depending on how long that process will take, it could be could the $5,000 ask could be part of our next year's budget. But we do have to, I guess, tentatively agree as a council whether or not this is something that we will support. And of course, that is pending all of the other stakeholders at the table are also going to put forward similar support.
Yes, Your Worship, thank you. But I guess with the number of, it depends on the number of stakeholders and the municipalities involved and how much ACOA is willing to put in, how much
Absolutely.
we need. Is it 20-cent dollars? Is it 30-cent dollars? So I think we should find that information. And normally what we did and a lot of other things, as you well know, is we try to go per capita if we can. And I don't want to get into a habit of the bigger municipalities paying the same as the smaller municipalities. And then in the future, they'll say, well, you did it here. We better do it this way too.
Right.
Okay,
So thank you for your comments. So this is just for this next phase of the project. Like when it comes to perhaps looking at the funding levels for the subsequent stages, like, you know, what are the goals and deliverables of year 1, year 2, right? Maybe up to year 5 or 6. Certainly, there will need to be consideration made with regard to you know, the size of our municipality and that sort of thing. Absolutely, you're correct.
But I do support it, that we should be on board, yes.
Thank you, Councillor McDougall. Any other comments or questions? And I'm happy to answer any questions you may have too, Councillor O'Coin.
I'm on board with looking at reasonable funding towards the first portion. But I think Councillor McDougall raises a very good point that as we move forward, I don't think that the town of Port Hawkesbury should be looking to pay the same as maybe CBRM or, but no, I have no problem with us committing to a reasonable and fair amount.
Thank you, Councillor Aucoin. And just to, I guess, to also kind of give a little bit of context, this will be, and I'm sure Councillor McDougall and Councillor McIver, who certainly have way more years of experience at the council table than I do, to the best of my knowledge, this will be the first island-wide initiative that will include First Nation stakeholders as well as municipal stakeholders to look at our island gateway and work together as an island to that end, and including, of course, other stakeholders as well, like Destination Cape Breton, the Strait Area Chamber of Commerce, who I also believe will be contributing as well to the scoping piece. We will be working with all levels of government as well. And this is really an opportunity to do things differently as an island. And I think it's a great opportunity. And it really does tie in really well with the One Nova Scotia report that we do have to start working as regions. When you look at Cape Breton, it's on the global stage. It is a top destination on that global stage. However, the welcome that folks get to Cape Breton Island is not world class. So this is an opportunity to really work together as an island to give that world class welcome as people are coming and exploring our island, and also to make sure that we are at the table to make sure that the town of Port Hawkesbury is well represented and what that welcome can look like, and to make sure that from a wayfinding perspective and from a tourism perspective and a promotional perspective that the town of Port Hawkesbury is well represented when visitors do come across the causeway to Cape Breton Island. Councillor McIver or Deputy Mayor McCrory, do you have any comments or questions?
No, Your Worship.
Yes, Your Worship, through you. I agree with the concept of the $5,000 to get this going and get all the other municipalities on board and work as an island group, which I think would be fantastic. But I also agree with Councillor McDougall that I don't think we should be stepping up to the plate with the same monetary contribution as maybe Sydney or other bigger municipalities. But to get it started, I agree with, in concept, with the $5,000. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. Deputy Mayor, do you have any comments on the request?
No, Your Worship.
Okay, so I guess is council in support of, I guess, the next meeting that we will have as a gateway working committee? Is council comfortable with me relaying the tentative support from the town of Port Hawkesbury for the scoping part of this project?
Yes.
Yes.
Councillor McDougall?
Yeah, we have to support it. There's no question.
Okay, Deputy Mayor McCrory?
Yes.
Okay, so I guess when it comes time to have to confirm that support, we will entertain an official motion of council at when I guess that time, whenever that time arrives, we'll bring it back to council for a ratification. Okay, so our next item is, I guess we'll do our COVID restrictions update first before we move in camera. Terry, I'll hand things over to you.
Thank you, Your Worship. Just an update, I guess, as most people are aware, Premier Rankin made an announcement this afternoon that the phase 2 of the rebound plan will go into effect tomorrow at 8 o'clock in the morning. That will mean some changes for us. So some of the highlights of the restrictions: gymnasiums will be able to operate at 50% capacity. The sponsored events will allow up to 50 people indoors and in groups of 10 and 75 people outdoors. Sports activities will be able to commence with 10 players inside and 25 players outside. That's for practices. Fitness centers, as I mentioned, gyms. So what that means for us, and a couple of questions this morning, that our fitness center is all geared up to open tomorrow at 8 a.m. at the start of the phase two plan start. Tomorrow it will run from 8 a.m. to 1:30 p.m. Thursday and Friday it will start at 6 o'clock in the morning and then we'll run to 1:30 in the afternoon as well. And then Saturday from 8 to 1 and close Sunday. As of Monday, the fitness center will go back to normal operating hours from 6 a.m. to 8 p.m. So they're, as Gordy mentioned, they're very well prepared for the opening, and we're hoping, anticipating this to occur and ready for it. So that's moving forward. Our building has an added complexity with respect to opening, and that's that we have a full service COVID assessment center in the building, which requires separation of entrances and that type of thing. The town offices, what we're preparing to do is open our counters to the public as of Monday. So some changes with the way that people will come in and out of the building, but we're planning to open the offices or the sort of service to the public on Monday morning at 8:30. We've been in contact with EDPC as well, and waiting to hear if they will open as well. So still some coordination with Department of Health on the assessment center, but certainly the fitness center will open at 8 a.m. and plans are for the town offices to be open for public service on Monday at 8:30. I'll just mention along with that, as we've done last year, that sort of final day before we through lockdown, opening up from lockdown, town plans to do a staff wellness town beautification day. That will be Friday. This year we'll concentrate on the work will be centered around around our playground area. So we intend to put in place our community garden, so new boxes, community garden boxes created over the winter. They'll be put in place, and old ones teared down and new ones put in place with soil in them. We'll be painting picnic tables and garbage cans and that type of thing from that location. We'll also be doing our plantings around town with staff, and also plan to paint the building by the pump track in sort of the town colors that we created for Destination Reef Street, and that will move well with the painting up the arena and some other beautification around that area. So that's planned for Friday, so starting at 9 and ending around 3. And so that's it. So I'd open up for questions if council have any with respect to the COVID reopening.
Yes, Your Worship.
Go ahead, Councillor McDougall.
Yes, Your Worship, through you to Terry. Did you say, Terry, I'm getting jibs and jabs, did you say it was 8 a.m. till 6 p.m. the fitness center was open, or was it 8 a.m. till 8 p.m. Starting Monday?
No, so I gave you a bunch of times, Councillor McDougall. So tomorrow, phase 2 really goes into a place at 8 a.m. So the fitness center will open at 8 a.m. In accordance with the regulations, and it will run through 1:30 to 1:30 p.m. And that's just for the next 3 days. On Thursday and Friday, they'll be able to be open at 6 a.m. And they'll run through 1:30. Open on Saturday as well, from 8 to 1, and then Monday they'll be back to normal operation, which is 6 a.m. to 8 p.m.
Okay, that's my question. Okay, thank you, Your Worship.
You're welcome, Councillor McDougall. Councillor McIver, is that you with your mic on?
Yes, Your Worship. I was going to ask the same question that Councillor McDougall did, and I'm just interested on Monday coming at 6 a.m. to 8 p.m.
That's correct.
Okay, thank you. I can pass that on.
We're gonna have some really happy, physically fit citizens in town.
Yes.
Councillor O'Coin, do you have any other follow-up questions for Terry?
Through you, Your Worship, to Terry. Did I hear that this coming Friday is when staff will be going to the playground area to spruce it up a bit?
Yeah, through you, Your Worship, that's correct. So it's not just around the playground, we're just working from there. So we'll be painting picnic tables and garbage cans and that type of thing. We'll be doing our plantings around town. So we have flower boxes that are going out, and we're picking up our flowers, which are arriving Thursday evening. So boxes will be prepared, and our flower boxes will go out. And there'll be we do intend to paint the old building by the pump track as well to spruce that up, and whatever else we can get in. So we're working from there, but we're really touching most parts of the town at the same time.
So I guess the follow-up question to that, through you, Your Worship, to Terry, is there restrictions on the number of people that could show up? So if members of the public or even members of council want to show up to give a hand for a little bit, is that something that's possible?
Yeah, no, it is possible. We've had some people join us previously. We are a little bit more restricted than we had been last year. So we are allowed 75 people outside, and then you're able to congregate in groups of 25. So there is some flexibility around that if persons want to join us.
Thank you.
Any other questions or comments from council for Terry? Deputy Mayor McCrory, did you have any questions?
No, Your Worship.
Okay. So thank you, Terry, for is there any other, I guess, COVID restriction updates that you need to share this evening?
No, Your Worship.
Okay. So with that, our last addition is with regard to an in-camera item. So at this time, I would ask anyone, I guess, who, I guess, isn't direct, don't leave Huey, don't leave Mark, don't leave Jason, and Deputy Mayor McCrory, and Terry. And do we, I guess,